For the first, I don't know how many years, probably 5 years, I didn't think there was anything wrong. I thought it was collapsed arches in my feet. The numbness in my toes wouldn't go away. And then as things progressed, then my balance started to become affected, and that's when, the flag went up. My first symptom was a small patch of numbness on the top of my left foot. And then that progressed over time to numb toes and strange sensations in my feet, sort of like walking on bubble wrap is how I explained it. And then some numbness and tingling in the hands. The only pain I've ever had is what they call buzzers. It feels like you're being stung by a wasp down in your foot for 10 or 15 seconds, and then it goes away as quickly as it came on. The worst I couldn't run. That was really the only functional issue that I had. That's another anomaly, I think, with me, is that I've never had consistent pain. Some people that I've talked to with this condition have 24/7 pain. The fact that my wife is a physio has been a big help. In fact, she was the reason that I went to the doctor in the first place. She was watching me stumble through a field on uneven ground, and she said, "Something's wrong. Go to the doctor," because there's something going on. And sure enough, I went to my family doctor, and he took a look at my feet and said, "You've got muscle loss in your feet, so I'm sending you off to a neurologist up in Edmonton." Prior to diagnosis, I was working a lot, and then on the personal side, I was drinking too much. I'd have to say, not an everyday drinker, but certainly qualified as a binge drinker. On my day of diagnosis in May of 2015, I got the finger wag from the neurologist saying that if I continued to binge drink the way I was, there was a chance that I'd end up in a wheelchair. And I remember saying to her I would much rather walk than drink. And so I actually quit drinking completely for a 4-month period that day. In the very beginning, I was diagnosed with idiopathic peripheral neuropathy. I have peripheral neuropathy, but they don't know why I've got it. And then there was a brief one meeting with that neurologist where she said that she thought I had CIDP. I asked if there was a chance that I had anti-mag, and she said, yeah, there is a chance. And that's when she requisitioned that specific blood test. The first neurologist that I saw in Edmonton, following the initial discovery of the strange stuff in my blood, that neurologist had never treated anybody with my condition. Because she hadn't treated anybody, I requested to be seen by a different neurologist in Edmonton that had been recommended to me by this foundation. So once I was connected with the hematologist and neurologist, they had things nailed down pretty quick and had me on a treatment path. There was a brief time when nobody was exactly sure, but my full diagnosis took from start to finish less than 6 months, so I was quite lucky. DADS is distal acquired demyelinating symmetric polyneuropathy. So it's it's primarily a sensory disorder with some motor effect, which I've had in my feet. And then I have it's anti-mag positive DADS-M. So the M part of the DADS-M is the IgM protein, which is an M protein. They also call it a paraproteinemia. Then I have the anti-mag antibody, which is an antibody that attacks myelin-associated glycoprotein, which is the MAG part. Something that we all have in our bodies, that glycoprotein, and essential for the maintenance of the peripheral nerves. But in this case, you produce an antibody that attacks that MAG. So for treatment, when I was initially diagnosed the day that the neurologist said, I think you've got CIDP, but I don't think I'm going to treat you, I just about jumped across her desk and grabbed her because she said, doesn't seem like there's much wrong with you. And I said, I can't run. She said, oh, I didn't know you were a runner. And I said, well, I used to do triathlons, but I can't run anymore. At that point, she agreed to put me on IVIG, and I stayed on IVIG for 2.5 years. The IVIG had held me relatively stable. It improved my condition immediately when I first went on it, and they expected it to quit working, which it did towards the end of 2017. And my condition started to get quite a bit worse. So the hematologist then said that he wanted to take a much more aggressive form of treatment, and they put me on a combined chemotherapy and immunotherapy treatment for 6 months. And then I stayed on what they call a maintenance dose of the immunotherapy treatment for another 2 years. So it was a full 5 years of treatment, start to finish, and that ended in about June of 2020, and I've been treatment-free since that time. And they don't like to call it remission because they expect it to return, but right now I have no signs of any of the bad stuff in my blood, the anti-MAG antibody or the IgM protein. The most difficult part of this illness with where I'm at is the knowing that there's a really good chance it's coming back. Up until just recently, my blood's been checked every 3 months. They're checking to see if those conditions are returning. And now I've been switched to a 6-month checkup schedule, which is great. I've been told that they fully expect everything to come back. They just can't tell me when. So that's probably the worst part of it. Otherwise, it's on a day-to-day basis, it is no big deal for me. And again, I'm very lucky that that's the case. The best thing that's happened is it's cut my alcohol consumption back. If you asked my wife, she would say I was on a slippery slope, and I was. That's why I got the finger wag from my neurologist on the day of my diagnosis. Yeah, advice for a newly diagnosed patient, definitely to make sure that you're seen by a hematologist. Often with these conditions, with these neuromuscular disorders, everybody focuses on the neurology side. In the vast majority of patients with this condition, it is driven first by a blood condition, and the neurological aspect is secondary. The foundation has been absolutely key in both diagnosis, treatment, and the ongoing support, both for me and for the people that I can offer it to, which is really important for people when nobody has a clue what these things are. People, friends look at you and they say, well, there's nothing wrong with you. You look fine. You look fine to me. And I've had one fellow say to me, I hate when people say that to me. I know it really bothers some people because there is something wrong, but it doesn't look like there is.
Frustrating.
It is frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Be aware, we are rare. Please share.